All right, welcome back. Our GMC tweet of the night from CBS Sports. First Cardinals player to win MVP since Albert Pujols, Paul Goldschmidt. Aaron Judge won over there in the American League. So those are your MVPs for this year's Major League Baseball. One day maybe we'll see an MVP from the Pirates again. It's been a long time. Bucko Fever's coming along here in a few months when spring training starts in February, but we'll hold on to that. We'll get to the Steelers right now, Pony. I had a chance to talk to Minkah Fitzpatrick today. He was back to practice, full go at practice, but the questions that I asked him, it didn't sound optimistic that he was going to play. I understand that he, Cam Hayward called him a grumpy guy. He doesn't give up too much. But, the way he described the surgery and what they had to do to me about how he's worried about the muscle they had to cut through and when he has to turn and move, make football moves, that, that's the concerning part of it for him for coming back.
Yeah, I actually thought Mike Tomlin got everybody's hopes up on Tuesday. He made it sound like Minkah was going to play. And then Terrell Austin today didn't sound as optimistic. And then I did listen to what he told you, Richie, and the rest of the Steelers media there. You see full participant in practice, you just assume a guy's going to play.
Yeah.
But the way he talked about the incision and not wanting to reopen that wound, 8 days post-surgery, even a minor one, from the people I talked to, seems a little overly ambitious. They think he's a good bet to play the game the following week against Atlanta, but they're not or against the Colts, excuse me. Yeah,
Monday night.
They're not as convinced. Yeah, they're not as convinced. I think it's 50-50 at best that Minkah plays against the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm leaning. I think it's less than that. But he was out there, full participant. I think the fact that the Steelers had DeMonte Casey back, I think that's a little luxury for them right now. That maybe they're not going to force him or push him into the lineup. And the Steelers, that went from being one of the weakest positions to being now the strength of this team.
Well, yeah, because Edmonds has had a better year too. Now, I don't think Minkah, before the injury, Minkah had that amazing game against the Bengals in week 1. And I think the last few games he's actually played poorly. That Eagles game where A.J. Brown took that touchdown away on the first play, I think his play has suffered, but he's still one of their best players. They've wanted to do this 3 safety thing all year, which, Richie, who's going to come off the field if they play 3 safeties? Is it Devin Bush? Is it Miles Jack? They're acting like Robert Spillane had the game of his life against the Saints last week. So if they're taking linebackers off the field, you tell me which inside linebacker is going to be the guy who suffers because of the 3 safety setup.
I think it would have to be Devin Bush or maybe someone up front. But my guess would be Devin Bush.
Well, they didn't play Jack last week, which was interesting. They didn't play him at all, even though he was a full participant on Friday in practice, and he was active on game day. Didn't you think that was weird, Richie?
I did think that was weird, and maybe he's still dealing with something.
Well, then why was he full participant on Friday and not on the injury report?
Well, that's a good question. I expected him to play when he practiced on Friday. But he practiced all week now, so, I don't think that's a question now. But, who would you take out if you're going to play 3 safeties?
Well, I don't think any of them are really that good. So I think Miles Jack is slightly better than Devin Bush, but that's not saying anything. I think Robert Spillane gets himself in the best positions to make plays, but he's not a good enough athlete. So I would say Miles Jack would be the best of the 3 inside linebackers, but I don't think Miles Jack has had a very good year. There's a lot of tackles there. The tackle numbers are high, but I haven't seen Miles Jack as some kind of big difference maker. Have you?
I think he's an upgrade to what they had last year.
Well, that's not saying
no,
much.
It isn't. No, it isn't. And it makes you wonder what position are they going to dress in the draft. I guess it depends on where they draft, but it makes you think.
And what they do in free agency.
What'd you say, Pony?
I said and what they do in free agency, too.
Yeah, and what they do in free agency. I don't know where you go after, like what parts you do. I'm intrigued by what Andy Weidel does this year and how he operates, and Omar Khan, if they start to get go towards the new wave of doing things in the NFL?
Well, Weidl was right there for those Eagles drafts, and they've got a heck of a core, and they've got depth, and they've got talent pretty much everywhere. So that is something about the Steelers moving forward that I am really optimistic about. Are they going to let Andy Weidl have a big say in their drafts? That should be, if I'm him, that's why I'm here, to assist the Steelers with the draft. That's not Omar Khan's background, really, in scouting. And Mike Tomlin does it once the season ends, but he's not scouting the way that Andy Weidl is right now while college football games are still going on. So that should give Weidl more information than Tomlin, and therefore he should probably have a bigger say in their drafts moving forward.
Let's go out to Chuck in Eloquippa. How you doing, Chuck?
Hello, Chuck.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, good. You're on.
Yes, I wanted to ask why the Steelers didn't make an attempt to go after Raekwon Smith.
You know, that is a good question, Pony. It seems like I just think they were comfortable with their inside linebackers right now, but maybe for the future, he's going to demand a contract, right? And that could be part of it, the whole thing of why that wasn't a good move for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think inside linebacker has been a major problem since Ryan Shazier's injury. I don't think that they've addressed it, but they haven't gotten the players back with the free agent dollars and obviously the Bush draft pick and trading up to get them. But I also don't think inside linebacker per se is as important as it was, say, back when the Steelers were in their last Super Bowl. Okay, great inside linebackers. Are they winning Super Bowls? Our defense is still built around those guys. I think it's a lot more about pass coverage, great corners, and edge rushers, pass rushers. So I'm not saying you can get by with scrubs at those positions, but if you've got to give up a lot in a trade for Smith and then turn around and give him, between $15 and $20 million a year, Richie, I don't think I really want to do that right now. He's a really good player, but there's a reason why the Ravens didn't trade for him and then sign him right away. I think they might let him leave in free agency and just get the draft pick back or put the franchise tag on him this offseason.
And it for me, I look at edge rusher because you could see how much of an impact TJ Watt has on this defense.
Yep.
He makes,
look at Highsmith.
It makes Highsmith AFC Defensive Player of the Week because of him.
That really should have been TJ Watt's award. He should have shared it with him.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right, it's time to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls and maybe some tweets coming up next. Stay right there.